thought it could intercept a U.S. destroyer but gets humbled by American ship unleashing serious weaponry. We've all at some point within our travels, either witnessed, read or have some personal experience with those nasty little furballs, those pound little dogs with the high-pitched yap, who seem to constantly show their provocative side. Well, that same analogy can apply to countries. For example, North Korea has a pudgy little coarse dictator yapping away and being extremely obnoxious, while Iran is playing perhaps a more ominous game of chicken on the high seas, which if continued might get itself blown to smithereens. The incident is being played out in the Persian Gulf between an Iranian ship and a U.S. Navy destroyer. However, unlike the portly despot in North Korea making verbal threats, Iran is getting extremely close to physically engaging our American fleet, which of course would be a monumental mistake. On Monday, an Iranian Revolutionary Guard fast attack craft came within 1,000 yards of an American U.S. guided missile destroyer. The brief confrontation wasn't acknowledged until the following day, and according to news reports, the Iranian attack ship had its weapons manned and ready to fire. In response to the approaching threat, the U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Mayan, quickly manned its own battle stations, locked and loaded its own weapons before firing off a few warning flares. Watch, this apparently stopped the Iranian craft from continuing its dangerous game of cat and mouse. A U.S. spokesperson acknowledging the reckless incident, coming inbound at a high rate of speed like that and manning weapons, despite clear warnings from the ship, is obviously provocative behavior. There's little doubt that the Iranian despots are testing the Trump administration, perhaps believing the way they humiliated the Obama administration by seizing 2 American patrol boats and detaining 10 crew members, and using them as propaganda props, that somehow they can do the same to this administration. Obviously, President Trump isn't Obama, and Iran had better think twice or be prepared to lose a few Iranian crafts the next time they get too close to our U.S. Navy destroyer. Do you think the U.S. is justified in firing on this aggressive Iranian vessel? Sound off in the comments. It's official. These borders are now closed, and it's all thanks to President Trump. After Donald Trump spoke at length, the biggest border security program you could imagine was put in place in less than a day. It's cut off the entire country from terrorism. It's a sign that Trump's words are being heeded. The best part? The country that's now cut off isn't the country being threatened by terrorism, it's the country threatening terrorism. They all did it, wait for it, after Trump's visit. Please tell me about how Trump is a failure. The rest of them just followed the Saudis' lead. And that's important for one reason: Saudi Arabia is the leader of the Arab world. A few days which were filled with a visit from Donald Trump. Bahrain issued a statement that gave Qatari diplomats 48 hours to leave the country and announced the airspace and ports from and into Qatar would close within 24 hours. They're doing the liberal thing, blaming Trump. Hamid Abatalbai, Deputy Chief of Staff to Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, blamed it on President Donald Trump's recent trip to Saudi Arabia and said, "What is happening is the preliminary result of the sword dance." Not sure exactly what the sword dance is. I do know a blame Trump maneuver when I see one. "30 of Obama's leftover staffers could be going to prison after what Trump just busted them doing." Ever since Trump got elected, he's been plagued by a series of traitors who keep leaking classified intel to the liberal media. Fed up with America's secrets dwindling up in the hands of rabid liberals at the cost of our national security, President Trump finally has a plan to drain the swamp in an unprecedented move that could put these leakers in federal prison for a long time to come. As Obama operates his shadow government from the headquarters of his D.C. mansion just 3 miles from the White House, there's still believed to be around 30 leakers who continue to report back to Obama and the liberal media. Sessions just announced a plan that will go far beyond the usual process for prosecuting leakers, revealing that he wants to give 100+ National Security Council staffers polygraph tests to finally pluck out the cancer in Washington once and for all. Axios reports, Sessions' idea is to do a one-time, one-issue, polygraph test of everyone on the NSC staff. Interrogators would sit down with every single NSC staffer, and ask them, individually, what they know about the leaks of transcripts of the president's phone calls with foreign leaders. Sessions suspects those leaks came from within the NSC, and thinks that a polygraph test, at the very least, would scare them out of leaking again. This unprecedented move shows just how serious the leaks in recent months have become to our national security. What's made it extremely difficult to find these leakers in the past is that many of them are career intelligence professionals who are extremely skilled at covering their digital tracks. Several months back, Galdi said that he believes there's still around 30 Obama leftovers who are continuing to feed America's secrets to the liberal media, which he believes is putting every single American life at risk. The unnamed source is one issue, and I'm going to let the media sort out whether the moral quandary that is that. I tell you what is not a moral quandary, that is printing of classified information. I will tell you this, we had a hearing yesterday on one of our surveillance programs up for reauthorization programs this year. The reauthorization of these tools that we need to keep us safe is in jeopardy if we don't stop the leaks, Gowdy said. Leaks are illegal and they are dangerous and they are deleterious to our national security, the South Carolina Republican added. Because Obama abused his presidential powers and tarnished these agencies by harnessing them for his own political agenda, Galdi believes that these continued intelligence leaks will not only destroy the credibility of these agencies, but that these leaks will directly jeopardize our U.S. surveillance program's ability to do their jobs. It looks like the game is over for Obama and his team of treasonous leakers who've for months been illegally using classified intelligence material as a political weapon against President Trump. While we're administering lie detector tests, let's put Obama in the chair and strap him up to the electrodes. You know, every single leak has originated Barack Hussein Obama. Share this story if you want to see Obama and his minions in prison. Starbucks' new CEO Rosalind Brewer doesn't really like white guys. The coffee chain giant had, until recently, Howard Schultz as CEO. You might remember Howard. Starbucks finally found his replacement when they recently announced that Rosalind Brewer would serve as the new CEO of Starbucks. Brewer served as CEO of Sam's Club until earlier this year. In particular, it appears she gets triggered by the sight of white guys in boardrooms. It all goes back to an interview she gave CNN in 2015, in which she seemed to have a problem with too many white men in corporate America. CNN's Poppy Harlow asked her about what it would take to see more women at the top of corporate America. Here's the real problem, Brewer called out one of her own suppliers in a national interview with CNN, accusing them of discriminating against minorities and women because all of the higher-ups were white guys. No one should have a problem with wanting a more diverse corporate leadership. Brewer herself should know that the issue is far more complicated, and the lack of minorities and women in leadership of a business is not indicative of bias. A meeting room full of white guys is not proof of white patriarchy. Starbucks can afford to be more diverse, because as a high-profile corporation, they have access to the best and the brightest candidates in business. If it is a regional company, they may be limited in their workforce, so geographically, they may be pulling 90% white guys as potential employees. Congress wants to take away Obama's pension. Congress has put Barack Obama on notice that his generous government pension could be taken away if he keeps living like a celebrity. Obama's behavior since leaving office has only cemented the fact that he's an elitist. From partying on yachts with Hollywood stars to raking in millions of dollars in book deals and speaking fees, Obama's doing anything but retire with class and grace. He certainly wasn't the people's president, and there's no reason the people should be subsidizing his lavish lifestyle. USA Today reported that Congress is taking another look at a bill that would cancel pension payments to past presidents if they earn $400,000 or more in a fiscal year. Unsurprisingly, Obama himself vetoed that bill when it was first introduced. Obama had already put the wheels of his post-presidency cash machine in place, and wasn't about to let Congress derail his plans. But now that he's out, Congress is going after Obama. In response to the USA Today report that Obama's earnings could trigger congressional action, House Oversight and Government Reform Chair Jason Chaffetz responded, "Let Congress know we are behind them, share this everywhere. Obama is using our tax dollars to fund a level of luxury he does not deserve." Muslims flee city in droves after what pissed mayor just made it legal for people to do to them. Over the last several years, Europe has turned into a cesspool of ISIS terrorist cells determined to kill as many infidels as possible. ISIS has even stated publicly they would use the mass immigration of refugees into Europe as cover to build their terrorist cells. Now places like Germany and the United Kingdom are paying a heavy price for the mass immigration of terrorists into their countries. Well, the mayor of Venice is having none of this ISIS business going on in his city and has made a rather drastic but necessary decree. Mayor Luigi Brugner has stated anyone heard yelling Allah Akbar on the streets of Venice would be shot dead by police snipers. The mayor was quoted as saying, "Anyone who shouts Allah Akbar in St. Mark's Square can expect to be gunned down by snipers within 4 paces. We need to increase our security when it comes to terrorism. We had 4 would-be terrorists arrested in Venice a few months ago who wanted to blow up the Rialto Bridge." As the mayor continued on speaking about these terrorists wanting to blow up the Rialto Bridge in Venice, he said, "They said they wanted to go and meet Allah, so we will send them straight to Allah without having to throw them off the bridge. We will just shoot them." Sounds like a rather straightforward policy to prevent terrorist attacks, and deter anyone looking to kill innocent people in Venice. Liberals across Europe had a complete hissy fit, showing more concern for terrorists than their own people. It is a sure bet that a percentage of the foreign-born residents in Rome are terrorists. The mayor of Venice, like many other conservative leaders, is concerned about protecting his people, and not so much about offending people, or making liberals cry. Looking at all the terrorist attacks, which have taken place across Europe, Spain, the United Kingdom, France, all of these countries have had their citizens killed because their leaders are too weak to do what Mayor Luigi Brugner is willing to do. As of the publication of this story, there have been no shooting deaths of terrorists in Venice, nor have there been any terrorist attacks.